Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another live stream here on Max Coverage TV, the place to be for all your sports wants, news, and needs, and most importantly, live streams here. And I'm joined by my guys today, man. We got Ace from the Ace Avenue. We got my boy NFE from the Strike Zone and my guy Jason from 161 River Ave. Y'all know who these guys are. There's no introduction needed. You know what I'm saying? If you are just a Yankee fan, you guys know who these guys are. But thank you guys for popping in, joining me today. And how we feeling? We got some news today. We got not a lot of crazy news, but we got something to talk about. But Ace, how you doing, man? I'm gonna give the floor to you first, bro.
Man, I'm doing good, man. Just glad to be here. First time getting to stream with Jason. Nice to meet you. Always a pleasure to stream with Max and my guy NFE as well. Yeah, we got some Yankee news to talk about. I was blown away when I saw that breaking news. I know you guys were too, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I was floored too, man. I'm still recovering from it, so. But yeah, I'm glad to be here with you guys too. It's my first time joining forces with all three of you, so I can't be more excited, man. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, sir. NFE, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Just got my training in this morning, feeling good. Great to be here with all three of you at the same time. And I was looking forward to this, so thank you again.
Yes, sir, man. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you for being here, guys. So I was going to start this off by, kind of picking y'all's brains on how we feeling right now. We're 8 days away until pitchers and catchers report. The last week without baseball, essentially. Can't wait. Already ordered my spring training cap. As soon as I saw that, I had to cop it. But Jason, I'm going to start with you, man. I'm in your chat. I'm in your streams all the time. But I just want to, get an overlook on the offseason so far in your eyes, how the Yankees have been doing.
I think it's been a strong offseason. They pivoted well. I mean, they pivoted early. So, if you look at it that way, then they've definitely had a stronger offseason early on and then kind of tapered off afterward. But they address needs. I think the lineup is longer. I think the bullpen is stronger. I think the rotation's stronger. So it's a different team. Last year, I felt like it was top-heavy. Soto, Judge, maybe when Stanton's helping, there was a huge drop-off in production after that. Now there's a little bit more length and balance in the lineup. So I like to see that. And I think we have a better 7, 8, 9, which we haven't had in a while. So whoever's going to be that extra bat when they bring him in is going to get opportunities to move guys all over the place. So I'm excited about how the Yankees have pivoted and addressed their needs this offseason. And again, it's not top heavy. It's more balanced to me. So I like what they've done. So I'm excited for what's ahead.
Ace, how you feeling so far, man? We got 1 week left, so we're still being patient here. Something, more things can happen, but right now, how you feeling right now, Ace, going into spring training?
I mean, I'm right there with Jason. I mean, the offseason started off, since the beginning. We were talking about Soto, what the Yankees going to do. It was kind of real action-packed for the first couple of weeks to, month, and this last month and a half, it's kind of slowed down. But the Yankees have done what they needed to do. They pivoted perfectly, in my opinion, by strengthening two strengths, which was our bullpen and our starting rotation with Fried and Devin Williams. Also getting not just one, but two bats. The first baseman on a very short-term contract that is very high reward, low risk, in my opinion, that sets you up perfectly for next year as well. The Yankees are in a position where they can be competitive this year, but then they also plan for the future at the same time next year with Kyle Tucker being available, possibly Vladimir Guerrero Jr., possibly Murakami as well. So, in my opinion, this was a solid B plus, A minus off season for the Yankees. I continue to say this. Hats off to Howe. Kudos to Cashman. It was a great off season, all things considered. But we still need a lefty out of the bullpen, in my opinion, and we need at least one more bat. Some talks are ramping up, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later. But I feel like the Yankees should not be done. I do think they might be done, but in my opinion, we still need another bat.
NFE, how you feeling? I just want to make sure you're not lagging. Some people are saying you're lagging, but
yeah, am I lagging?
Good.
Let me know.
You're good.
Okay, cool. No, like I've mentioned it many times during the offseason. I feel like after the Yankees lost out on Soto, this lit a fire under Hal, and they pivoted very quickly. I loved it, and appreciate you, Jake Boss. They pivoted very quickly. They absolutely needed to upgrade the rotation with Soto or without. The Max Fried signing, fantastic, right? Devin Williams for the bullpen, great trade. I mean, nobody saw that one coming. I mean, myself included. I don't think any of us saw that coming. So it does solidify the bullpen. But the two bats, right? They added Goldschmidt, they added Bellinger. Hopefully that you add some production to that lineup. And defensively, they've gotten better too. Defense was a bit of an issue. So let's see what happens with the lineup. Hopefully, again, you get a productive lineup. Situational hitting improves because that was a bit of an issue last season. So they still need to get another bat. Absolutely, I'm right there with Ace, and I've been saying it too. They got to get another bat and a lefty arm. So preferably two, but if they get one, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. A lot of people are living in the now, which is understandable. They kind of forget what the Yankees have done early in this offseason. Like, they spent some money. I mean, they paid $200+ million for Max Fried. We have a bona fide number 2 starter now in this line or in this rotation. We saw Rodon. He's just not a 2. Hopefully the 3 being a third arm now in the rotation will help him, and hopefully he'll gain some confidence because we're still paying a lot of money for him. But like you guys alluded to, they traded for Devin Williams. They traded for Cody Bellinger. You got to take on those contracts. You know what I'm saying? They're not free. And then we traded for Fernando Cruz, Goldschmidt. Like Ace said, I like that signing. It's a 1-year stopgap. You didn't break the bank on him, $12.5 million. And if he can do what he did the second half of last season, which he hit like around 790 OPS, 799 OPS, I'll take that all day for Paul Goldschmidt. And I like the fact that they're moving Jazz back to second base as well. So the Yankees have done a lot of moves, man. But like the past month, it's just been very quiet. And some people are getting frustrated, especially after Hal Steinbrenner came out and said what he said, which, ticked off a lot of fans. But I think we pivoted great from Juan Soto. It's going to suck seeing him, across town. But the Yankees kind of did what they needed to do to better themselves, because not only did we get better, I think we got better defensively. We still need that third base like we all agree on, but athletically we got better. Goldschmidt can run the bases better than Rizzo can. We have a full season with Jazz now. Cody Bellinger has wheels. Dominguez a full-time starter now. Like, what was the Yankees' main concerns last season? Base running, defense, and they couldn't hit lefties, right? You have Bellinger, who can hit lefties. You add Paul Goldschmidt, who can hit lefties. So, like, I get it. We all want that last piece to the puzzle, it seems like right now, with that third base position. And, making these small moves might add up to something bigger. But
yeah, I do feel like, though, like, this has been a productive offseason. I feel like because it started off so quick, if it would have been the inverse, like let's say it would have started off slower, and then we did the moves that we did right around this time, fans would feel differently. But it feels like we're stagnant because we kind of made all of our moves early in the offseason instead of now.
That's a good point. And then I like to acknowledge the other moves. And Cruz is a good move. They also traded for Michael Abreu. There's some other under-the-radar moves. I mean, they added 4 power strikeout bullpen arms. Abreu, Cruz, Devin Williams, and Johnny Loizaga. So, and they haven't added a lefty yet. And one of the issues that they had in the bullpen, a point of frustration for fans, was we didn't have any strikeout guys, right? Well, they added 4 of them this offseason. So That's another point of strength for the Yankees. And they haven't traded any top 15 picks at any point in time either. So they're well positioned to make a move if they want to move in a trade. And I think one of the problems right now is Alex Bregman and Scott Boras are kind of holding up some of the market, the trade market, because depending on where he goes, it can make a guy that's guy available that's not available before. Like the Cubs, Nico Horn, the Tigers, one of their infielders. If he goes back to the Astros, one of their infielders. So there could be some guys that will be available that weren't before. So that's a new discussion to have. So I do think that the Yankees are in part waiting for Bregman to sign wherever he signs so that they can think about another pursuit here too.
I just want to shout out my guy Pito right here dropping the membership, man. Appreciate you. My guy Jake got the membership. So thank you so much, Pito. You are the man. You are the man, bro. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Smash the like button, guys, and everyone's channels are down below in the description if you guys want to sub up to them as well. But man, like, I know Bregman's the big name on the market that everybody is just wait. I feel like Bregman right now. I know Pete Alonso's still out there as well, but Bregman's the biggest name. It feels like right now because of Yankee land. I mean, I know Ace wants Bregman. I know I've been on the record saying, you know, I want Bregman. Some people think I keep whining about it, but that's just my opinion, guys, so don't yell at me. But no, like that's the biggest name right now. NFE. I know you're on the I think you're on the opposite side of things with Bregman. You don't want the Yankees to go after Bregman, right?
I'm anti Bregman, and no, it has nothing to do with 2017. I'm over that. It's just I don't feel comfortable giving him personally. I'm not comfortable giving him a 6-year deal at $200 million. I'm not there. You know,
What would you be comfortable with though? For Bregman, what would you be comfortable with?
Bregman right now? I mean, probably a shorter term deal if I'm being honest. You know, but the other issue is that he comes with a QO. So that's the other frustrating thing about Bregman. And that's why he's been a free agent for as long as he has been, is because, you know, I don't know if teams are willing to give up 2 draft picks and IFA money. So that's part of the holdup right now. And him and Boris, yeah, they're holding up the market right now for infielders. There's not really a lot of options. I get that, but I'd go a short-term deal for Bregman. And the other thing, if I'm being honest, I don't know that he fits the Yankees locker room. I just don't know. I just don't know that he fits that. Wait.
No, Graham. Every day, Graham's like, "I'm telling you, Max. No, I don't want him." Jason, I wanted to ask you about the Bregman stuff because I saw you posting some shorts yesterday on your channel, and we'll get to Ace afterwards. But kind of like give us more insight on those the news that you saw yesterday, because I know I watched them, so I know kind of what you were talking about. But I wanted you to give the floor to for everyone else.
Well, news has been evolving on Bregman, right? A month and a half ago, the Yankees ran on him. But a month ago, they were not. Now the news is changing, and that's no surprise with these guys, right? And a lot of folks are waiting to see where they're going to post on Twitter. And I make it clear, Twitter's not the only place where reporting gets made, right? Twitter's not the place where businesses get done, negotiation gets done. None of that happens on Twitter. So I like to look at it in multiple places. But to NFE's point, too, since the Yankees are over the Cohen threshold right now, whatever you pay Bregman, it's going to be automatically doubled. So if you pay him $25 a year, it becomes $50 because they're over the Cohen threshold. And that doesn't mean he gets $50. It means the other $25 goes towards the luxury tax penalties. So that's 3 layers of penalties that are associated with Bregman. But back to the IFA money, the Yankees are tied to Juan Diaz, who's the #1 international free agent next year. You sign Bregman, you got to say goodbye to Aston. So is it worth it is the question, right? Short term or long term? Because either one of those deals, you have to eat those penalties. And if you eat 2 draft picks, you already gave up 2 for Fried. 20% of your draft is gone, and it's all at the top of it. The only draft pick we got back for Juan Soto is a 4th round compensatory pick. And the reason why it's so low is because we're multiple offenders at the high payroll threshold. So it's unfortunately, I mean, you'd think, like, Soto's the #1 free agent, we should have gotten the highest compensation, but unfortunately we didn't. So, and it goes back to how being consistent spender. So I always say too, the cheap argument when it comes to Hal is not really that credible because he's always at the top for the last 30 years, except for 1 year. He's been on the top 3 payrolls every single year, 29 out of 30 years. So that's a portrait of consistency. But to your point too, Max, like the reporting varies all over the place, particularly as it relates to Bregman. But I'm right down the middle. Had he not been attached, and I agree with NFE, had he not had a QO attached to him, he would have signed already somewhere. Same thing applies to Pete Alonso. And there's another reason why Nick Pivetta hasn't signed. He's attached to him. The guy won 9 games last year. He has a QO attached to him. So that one puzzles me. But I think as it relates to Bregman, that's probably the main reason why he would not come to the Yankees. Thanks.
Yeah, Ace, how you feeling, man? I know you were early in the offseason. You really wanted Bregman. I just wanted to see how you were feeling now.
He's
Yeah.
good.
I mean, I'm all for just trying to make this team better. Whatever moves that you can do to currently make this team that we have that much better, I'm for it. I feel like Bregman is that guy. Yes, will he benefit less from the Crawford boxes over there in Houston than he will in New York City? Absolutely. But that gives you more opportunities to also get a couple extra base hits instead of them being home runs as well, which could also spark different types of rallies. Like I said, I'm just all for trying to make this team better. When they said that they were going to move Jazz to second, I'm with that. You have to get yourself a legit third baseman. Not saying that Jazz was bad there. His inexperience more or less cost him in certain situations, like where to be the cutoff man, where to be in certain situations. He could have learned that with entire offseason, but they're moving him back to second. I'm all for just going to actually go get yourself a third baseman. I've been on three guys. I've either wanted Bregman, I would love a trade for Alec Boehm, or maybe the Rockies tank out early and you go ahead and go get Ryan McMahon, which, you know, they didn't want to move him last year because of personal stuff. Maybe this year's a different story. We don't know. But personally, like I said, I just want to make this team better. I understand the Yankees' mantra. They don't want to give up those picks because they want to build for the future at the same time, too, which is what I alluded to earlier. But I'm more worried about winning now while Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole have this window, because those draft picks that you lose from the QOs and stuff like that aren't going to help Judge and Garrett Cole in this window. Those are future picks in like 3, 4, 5 years from now. I'm worried about right now with this New York Yankee team. And realistically, you get yourself a third baseman, I think we're good to go. I still think we're the best team in the AL regardless. You know, other teams have made decent moves, but I do think we're the best team in the AL, and I think one more bat and we're right there with it.
If I could add something to your point too, I mean, there's a couple of Yankees who've been openly critical about the Astros cheating thing, and Bregman, and Cody Bellinger's one of them, and so is Judge. So would they all welcome him with open arms? I don't know, but there's no denying he's got ice in his veins when it comes to the playoffs. So he's money in the playoffs. He's clutch. Joey Bag of Donuts. So
My boy. Hey,
I wonder whether he'd be welcomed by his whole team or not. I mean, they stood up for DJ LeMahieu, which everybody hates. The Yankees were going to DFA him last year, and the veterans all stood up for him. Would they do the same for Bregman? This is a tight-knit clubhouse. I don't know. That's the other thing I worry about. But for in terms of win now, Bregman represents a bigger value than the prospects do.
Yeah, and the other name that's still out there is Arenado with him, you know, for a trade. It just seems like that's the two moves right now. If you're like the Yankees looking at everything, the market, the trade market, there's only two guys left. You know, it's slim pickings at this point, and we're a week away until spring training starts. So maybe the Yankees, like I think they are going to do, is be patient and maybe wait till the deadline. Hopefully Peraza, and I personally want Peraza to win the spot if it's going to be in-house, because one, this is last, you know, he's out of options. It's kind of his last chance. So hopefully he can have a fully healthy spring, which usually doesn't really happen with him. But I don't know, man. DJ as like our starting third baseman, it really, you know, it's really not a good plan. I don't feel like. But talking about what happened today real quick, in case you guys missed it, the Yankees signed Carlos Carrasco. I know everyone's like, oh, who cares? It's a minor league deal. He's 30. He'll be 38 in March. 3-10 record last year with the Guardians, 5.64 ERA. So just another debt piece. I think they paid $1.5 million for him, but it kind of just that brings up Strowman again, right? Because right now Strowman is if someone gets hurt, that's our guy, right? So now that they're making this move with Carrasco, this could open up another, you know, alley, hopefully, for the Yankees to find a suit for Marcus Strowman. Now that we have Carrasco, that, you know, he's nothing more of a debt piece at this point in his career. But just wanted to, you know, get on y'all's opinions with the Strowman stuff. Do you feel like the Yankees are going to move Strowman by opening day, or do you think right now it's kind of like the same thing? They're going to be patient and kind of let things play out. I'll start with you, Jason.
I think they will move him. I do honestly. I think that Cashman is waiting for either the Cardinals or the Padres to blink, right? For Arias or Arenado. And you know, they've made it clear they want to move him. And the Padres have made it clear, and the Cardinals have made it clear they want to move their players too. So I do think somebody's going to have to blink in order for one of these trades to happen. Who, I'm not exactly sure. But I do think Carrasco, and he's got 2.5 million of incentives attached to that 1.5, so he can go up to 4. So I think adding him is a bigger sign that Strowman's probably gone. So I think he's like one of the steps in this process, and I do think, I can't confirm this, but I do think Cashman is probably sitting on a deal. Strowman, but somebody's got to blink. I know, and I do know that the Cardinals offered to eat 20 million of Arenado's money, but Cashman was angling for 30. There was a 10 million differential between the two. So maybe they'll come to a compromise. Maybe it'll be 24, 25 million. Maybe. And then if that's the case, maybe something like this happens. But I'm not only confident that the Yankees are going to move Strowman, but I'm also confident in some of the guys that they have right at the top, like Chase Hampton. He's healthy again. Yeah. Clayton Beater. So they have some weapons right at the top levels that they could dispatch at some point, deploy, which I'm excited about. So I do think if they move Strowman, it wouldn't hurt as much as we think it might hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, Will Warren too. You could throw his name in the mix. Yeah. They liked him. As far as Will Warren, what I saw last year, I wasn't impressed. I'm not gonna say he was bad. I just think he wasn't ready yet. But another year under his belt, what I'm saying, we'll see what we have with him. But like you said, I agree, Chase Hampton. All those guys could be your spot starters, your 6 starters. Go ahead and off move Strowman. I think the next move needs to be a lefty. Like really quick, that could be something that could be done ASAP. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm surprised, Tim Hill's still out there if I'm correct. I'm saying? I would love to bring him back based on what he did last year. But Strowman I think might be gone before the beginning of the season. Like because you got to free up that money. It really just depends on I think how much the Yankees going to eat. How much do you guys think that the Yankees should take from the Strowman contract?
I think it depends on where they send them. If they send them to the Cardinals, I would say maybe 6 million. If they send them to the Padres, maybe that. They send them to a team like the Marlins, less than because they haven't spent a dime this entire offseason.
Same with the A's. I would like them to send them there.
Yeah, and then if you can get it, they have a comp pick in the 70s. I mean, I would trade them for a comp pick.
Yeah.
Just that. If I can get a comp pick, I'd be pretty happy. If they can eat that salary, sign me up, baby. And if you can get Andrew Nardi out of the deal, I'll send a few $1,000,000. So, but I'll take another comp pick in the draft.
What about you, NFE?
I mean, I think I'm probably way off on this, but I was saying maybe they got to eat 10 million. The reason why I'm saying that is because he's not looked at the same way as some of these other pitchers, right? Flaherty was still a free agent until he signed with the Tigers, but they're not going to see Flaherty and Strowman as being the same, right? So, a guy like Strowman, he's your number 4, number 5 guy. So if you are going to trade him, and the Yankees are going to have to eat some of that contract, for other teams, they're not going to view him as being $18 million, right? Because that's for a number 4, number 5 guy, in my opinion. I think that's a lot. I think that's a lot of money.
But I still think he has a lot of value though for a team. He's a guy that will that can stay healthy for the most part. That will eat up innings throughout the year. A team could use somebody like that, and obviously he has that thing in his contract where he gets a certain amount. So he'll be determined to eat some innings. I think it's just about the right team. Like Jason said, the Marlins could be a good fit. The A's haven't really done anything. They're a team that has to kind of take on payroll as well. Personally, like I said, if we ended up getting rid of Strowman and eating like 3 to 4 million of his contract, I think I consider that a win. But we'll see.
I mean, I think it's going to be more than 3 to 4, though. I mean, I could see 5 to 6. That's reasonable, but I can also see teams asking for more because teams don't view him as the same level of pitcher as like a guy like, let's say, Jack Flaherty, who was still a free agent until he signed. But no, he has value. He has value. He's just not seen as the same way as some of the other names that you see out there. So. That's where I was coming from.
If I'm them, I'm comparing him to Nick Pivetta all day, every day right now.
Yeah.
Do you want to give all that up for Nick Pivetta, or would you rather trade for Marcus Strowman? Right?
Yeah.
I feel like a heck of a lot less penalizing if you trade for Marcus Strowman.
Yeah. I feel like Nick Pivetta, he read the whole market wrong, man. Like he was going to make 21.05 million if he would have accepted the qualifying offer, and now I don't think anyone's going to sign him. You know,
You might wait until May until the qualifying offer deadline expires.
yeah, that was
Who's
whoever his
who's
agent
agency?
is.
I was
Yeah.
just about to ask.
I was
who's
about to
his
say,
agent? Like,
fire
yeah.
his agent, man. Whoever decided that. But I wanted to share this real quick, guys. We got some breaking news with the MLB. Pat Hoberg, considered MLB's best by many, was fired by sharing a betting account with a friend who bet on baseball. There's no evidence he bet on baseball or affected the games, but MLB found he impeded the inquiry by deleting the messages. So very interesting. I know who this umpire is, so I know like this is one of the top umpires. But gosh, man, what are these guys thinking? See, this points to we need some robo umps. There's still going to be a physical body behind home plate, but just this right here. I mean, you can't tell me that they threw in fixed games, right? It's ridiculous, man.
Oh, I believe it, dude. We call the games. We see it. How many times do you see a pitch that's way out? You're like, dude, where the hell was that? Like, but I think they're gonna be experimenting with. Aren't they supposed to be experimenting with the robo umps in spring training in some games this year?
Mm-hmm.
So, which is great. You know what I'm saying? It's not what a lot of people think. It's more like the challenge system, which takes up no time. Baseball is concerned about time, but all you have to do is this real quick and 1, 2, 3, get it right. I'm all about just getting it right.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of minor league games and I've seen it firsthand. It takes, it's not going to slow down the game. That's a lot of people are like, I don't want anything else to slow down the game. I don't think it will at all. But going back to Strowman real quick, I think just a lot of teams are. They look at that vesting option, and that's what's turning them off. So I hope the Yankees, if they do decide to trade him, I hope they don't have to take any of the money next year. I think that's what a lot of these teams are maybe looking at. Like if the Yankees decide to take, like kind of how we did with Cody Bellinger, it wasn't a lot, but we took like $2.5 million this year and $2.5 million next year. Maybe teams like just like NFE said, $10 million, $5 million this year, $5 million next year. Maybe teams want something like that in order to trade away Strowman, which maybe the Yankees are saying, well, we'll sit and wait. And then spring training happens, the games start being played, someone goes down with an injury. And then like say Michael King or, I don't want anyone getting hurt, but I'm just throwing it out there. Like someone gets hurt during spring training. That's when things can start speeding up and picking up a little bit.
By the way, Nick Pivetta rep by CAA Sports.
So
that's the representation.
Yeah, if I was Nick, I would have been like, yeah, we're done.
They also represent what's his face, Flaherty as well, CAA Sports.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of bad agenting, these last couple of years. So
yeah, a lot of people are upset about Scott Boras, and some people are saying he's ruining the sport, which I don't essentially agree. But it's kind of like there's only a certain amount of teams that are making moves. Like the bottom 15 teams, they made small moves here and there, but like think about who's making moves this offseason. Dodgers, Mets really haven't made too many moves, but they gave $765 million to Juan Soto. Yankees, Tigers have been making some moves, which that's what as I'm sure as owners as well, they want to see that happen. Like the Tigers are actually making moves. The A's are spending money, but that's what I think the other teams that aren't making moves, like the Marlins, like Jason alluded to, they haven't spent a dime this offseason. So I think that's what's causing this in baseball is because, say for Pete Alonso, for instance, name me the teams that can afford him. You got 3, maybe 4. I know the Toronto Blue Jays were in on him. I would, if I was Seattle, I would probably pick up the phone and say, "Hey, what's up?" Because Seattle needs some kind of offense. Mm-hmm. But there's only a handful of teams that can afford these guys. Bregman, there's only 3 teams on the table. Mm-hmm. So that's what's holding up this whole Scott Boras clients because there's not a lot of spenders out there.
He's just exploiting a system that the union created. So. And he's the best at it, unfortunately. So, just like the Dodgers are exploiting a system that was made possible by the union and owners. So, that's just part of the reality, unfortunately.
Cubs are making moves too. Yeah, Cubs are definitely making moves.
I don't think it's fair that the teams that spend are the ones that are the most penalized. I don't think that's fair. I think that receive all the revenue sharing in their pocket. It should be the ones that get penalized and either lose draft picks or something, which is why I'm in favor of some kind of salary floor.
That same
I don't
here.
know I don't know if you'd have that
Mhm.
enough teams agree with it. If you have 10 teams that sign against it, then it doesn't happen. So,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. Recipients of all the big money are going to be against it.
Yeah. Cap floor first forces some of these teams to at least try to be competitive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like look at a certain, and then circumstances are different. It's a case by case basis. Look at the San Francisco Giants. They got money to spend. They got a beautiful ballpark. Their ballpark's ranked one of the best every year. A great place to play, but no one wants to go there. I mean, could it have been different if Aaron Judge would have been the first to go there? Yeah, but he wanted to be a Yankee. But they're trying to, like, them in Toronto are trying to throw money at people, and no one wants to go there.
It's true.
Yeah, and not to mention San Fran's tax. I mean, that was one of the main reasons why Corbin Burns didn't want to sign with San Fran or Toronto. You just said that for tax reasons, it's just better for him to sign with the Diamondbacks. Not to mention he lives in Arizona too, so it was it was convenient. So that also plays a role as well.
True.
Seems like that's why a lot of players don't want to go to Toronto's because of the taxing and stuff like that. They got the money. The Rogers family has boatloads of money.
Oh, yeah.
So that's not the issue. But if I was Toronto, I'd probably just focus on trying to re-sign Vladdy at this point. Like, he's a first baseman, so right now it's kind of like the first base market, like Pete Alonso's seeing, it's not really there, right? Even though Pete Alonso can hit 40 home runs a season, but Vladimir is younger, of course, so that's always going to be a bigger factor than anything else. But yeah, it's just right now it's these guys left on the market. There's only a couple of teams out there willing to spend, and I think the longer they wait, man, the lower that contract will be. I was shocked that Santander got 5 years, honestly, $92.5 million. But like, the tax reasons is probably why they had to overpay for him. The Blue Jays did, but if these guys wait longer, are we going to see Pete Alonso or Bregman sign like what we saw last year with Blake Snell and Cody Bellinger, 3-year deals with option opt-outs after every single season? I think that's what we might see with Pete Alonso.
I was going to say, don't forget Monty, Jordan
Montgomery.
Yeah, he was another one. Yeah, he ended up firing Boris. I mean,
yeah. And then now the Diamondbacks owner came out and blasted him on live radio, which is crazy. He's like, that was my fault. That's on me. That's on me. I'll take that. I'm like, damn. So I feel bad. I feel bad for Jordan Montgomery, man.
That's funny.
He's still at Arizona, right? They've got Burns now. They've got him, Zach Gallen. They got a nice rotation over there. So
Arizona, I think Arizona's gonna have a big bounce back year. They missed the playoffs last season, but I think they're gonna be back this year.
They added Josh Naylor too, so they've quietly gotten better, as have the Reds, as have the Royals. Like, a lot of teams have quietly gotten better, which is good to see.
Yeah, I think the Reds are going to be a great team now with Terry Francona managing them. The guy is a baseball genius. So, I mean, he had 1 year off. He's like, I got to get back in there. And Cincinnati, I picked Cincinnati last year to win that division. They were just, I can't believe how bad they were last year, honestly. But
is Votto still their first baseman?
No, Votto went to Toronto. And I think he retired officially.
So do they need a first baseman? That's be a good spot for Alonso.
Yeah, that's true. That could be a great spot for Alonso, and it's a small ballpark.
Yeah,
his numbers will,
opposite field all day.
Oh yeah,
I just think Alonso wants to be a Met. That's what it comes down to. Like, he just wants to, realistically, same thing. He's another one that should have took the contract that was originally offered to him, because he kind of screwed himself. Sometimes betting on yourself comes back to bite you.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Steve Cohen's playing hardball with him right now. I can't blame him.
Yeah.
Steve Cohen overestimated the Mets' love for him. That's what he thought, that he was really going to break the bank. But, Steve Cohen's got the most money to spend, like, Max had alluded to with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. signing. I don't think he'll re-sign a contract. I think he'd be kind of foolish not to hit the open market to at least let Steve Cohen get in on the bidding, because you just saw what he did with Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
So especially if they end up going short term with, bringing back Pete Alonso for a 1 year, and then Vladimir hitting the open market, it'll be a bidding war for him. Not as high as Soto, but I could see him getting north of $500 million. maybe
Easy.
touching 600 million if it becomes a bidding war.
Easy.
2025, right? 25
Yep.
years old.
20 is 25. Yeah,
I think he'll
so.
be 26 this upcoming year, but yeah, he's still young.
Hmm.
And you know that another thing with Steve Cohen, even though he has the most money in the world, he's still, hey, listen, I know you guys love Pete Alonso, but they want too much money. You know, he's looking at the first base market, and he's saying this isn't what his value is. Even though Steve Cohen can afford it, no, there's no doubt about it. But with the Mets, David Stearns kind of has the reins there, which, Steve Cohen said, hey, listen, do your thing. He can still go in there and, make things happen. But even though Steve Cohen's the richest owner and one of the richest owners in baseball, he's still kind of penny pinching, as you would say.
I mean, we all thought that he was going to go out and just spend like crazy and get all these players, kind of like what the Dodgers are doing. But, he hasn't. I mean, he spent the most money on Soto, and that was it. I mean, yeah, they made some other additions, but he wasn't spending money like crazy like we all thought he would, honestly.
Dude's a hedge fund guy. He knows how to manage money. So
Mhm.
learn from his mistakes the first year.
Yeah.
So,
You're not a billionaire if you're just throwing money at everything. Like,
Yeah.
he's spending it smart. Especially, I think over there they're trying to build around that stadium too. So they're trying to do moves like that to bring in equity. So
Yeah, they're trying to make something happen in Queens.
Mhm.
yeah, it's called Shitty Field for a reason. So,
Uncle Rico, he's saying I would have dropped Boone and hired Terry Francona in a heartbeat, but Francona would have not meshed with Cashman since he's old school.
I think
I
I would have
would've-
been on that. I would have been on board with that as well.
I would have loved to have Tito, man. After like if Tito was available when Joe Torre was no longer the Yankees manager, I would have loved Francona. I do like Terry Francona a lot, man. Definitely. If they during that time, if they said Girardi or Francona, I would have been like Francona all day. Like that's that. I like Terry Francona.
Yeah.
So there have been talks about rumors with the Boone extension. What do you guys think about that?
Who would you replace him with if he leaves?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to point, David Cohn or, ex-Yankee, like Jorge Posada, but like, do these guys even want to manage?
Yeah,
I'm sure David Cohn is loving his life, calling the games, working for ESPN, working for Yes. Like, I'm sure David Cohn is pretty content, but I had a feeling when they picked up his option, I think I told you this, Ace. I was like, they have to be working on an extension because I just feel like that's not the final result. And now Hal Steinbrenner said, yeah, we're talking about extending, and that's gonna send Yankee fans into a.
And last year was the first time he had a roster that good, and he took him to the World Series. So he's 10th all time in manager winning percentage too, all time in history. So that's got to say for something. And again, he's done a lot with a patchwork roster most of the years that he's been here. So, and the players love him too. So that's they're notoriously loyal, Hal and the rest of these guys, to each other and the players. So that definitely speaks. And he has his players back verbally and on the field. So I think they'll appreciate that as well.
It's just the late game decision making for me that turns me off to Aaron Boone. Like we see it too many times. Like saying it all year, he's going to cost us something in the playoffs. And sure enough, you got Tim Hill and Nestor Cortez both warming up, and he went with the wrong option. Of course, hindsight's 2020, but it just seems like definitely this year he was the most experienced manager on the AL side, definitely. And we made it all the way to the World Series. Now I kind of want to see what he would do. I would see what he would do this year before extending him. If the Yankees went the same route they did with Joe Girardi and just letting the contract expire and we're just going to go about our separate ways, I would be okay with that too. But I want to see how this year plays out before I extend him.
That's where I was at with Boone. Okay, it's like they picked up his option. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's see what happens in 2025. Let's see how it plays out. Then make a decision at that point. I would have waited till after the 2025 season was over. That's me personally, though. That's what I've been saying as well.
Yeah, I feel like Aaron Boone. We all there is games where it's a head scratcher. Decision he makes. Every manager is kind of like that. But until the World Series, I mean, Boone was calling a phenomenal postseason. He really he didn't make any mistakes until the World Series, which that's the one that we all care about at the end of the day. And I agree with you, Ace. That decision bringing in Tim, I think everyone agrees with that. You know, the Tim Hill instead or Nestor Cortez instead of Tim Hill, that will always haunt us, and it will probably always haunt Aaron Boone as well. But this is a big year, man. I don't know if he will sign an extension mid-season, but
I
don't know. It's kind of tricky to see when they would extend him.
Yeah. I mean, last year, like I said, not to totally shit on Boone, but last year, we saw different things from Aaron Boone, like holding, like a lot of us throughout the course of the year were saying you got to start holding some of these players accountable. We saw that towards the latter end of the season, like with the Gleyber Torres benching, like because before we didn't think that was going to happen. Gleyber Torres was just allowed to do whatever the hell he wanted, and then you sat his ass down for a couple of days, and you remember the meme, Max, him sitting on the top step like this, and then he woke up. And then he had a really good second half. Sometimes you got to do that. And it comes from, you just have to have good leadership. Aaron Judge as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't see what he does behind the scenes, but, you have to have that good leadership throughout the clubhouse.
And to your point, too, how often do you see a manager publicly parading a player on TV? Never.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's what happened with Girardi.
Yeah.
That's why he got.
Yeah.
Us fans want that. But we see as a, somebody, we don't know what's going on in the clubhouse. They could be holding each other accountable, but us as fans, we want to see it because we don't know. But then when the play continues on the field, like Trent Grisham not going for the ball in center field and allowing a Brunner to go from first to second, stuff like that makes me think there was no accountability at the time because of what was happening.
And to your point too, and I think NFE can relate from this. I mean, we're both longtime martial artists, and the philosophy is criticized privately and praised publicly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's how we do things as instructors. And I do that to my students all the time. And I think that's when you have millions of eyes on you on TV, I think this stuff is in his mind. Like you said too, man. It's like that's one reason why Girardi got booted, because he was very rough with the media and very rough with his players publicly. So I think he's made adjustments since then, but that's one of the reasons why he's not here.
Yeah. And you guys make a great point with the clubhouse loving Boone. At the end of the day, if Aaron Judge does not want him fired, he won't get fired. Like, no matter what. Like, Aaron Judge is on that level with the franchise. Any moves that are being made, he's in that room. Like, if if Judge doesn't want it, then we all as fans have to kind of live with that, because that's our captain at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not I like Boone just because of the fact that, where I'm at with him is that, like Jason said earlier, 2024 was the best roster that he has had since he, joined the organization. All the other years, he made the best of what he had, and his first 2 seasons as a Yankees manager, I mean, he won over 100 games, and he's never really managed a team prior to that, right? So, I mean, he's done a good job with the roster that he's been given. He's never had like the superstar roster that Torrey had way back in the day, or that Girardi had back in 2009. He was given a squad every year and just made the best of it. And that's where this is where I give him credit, because I don't know if any other managers would have been able to do that.
I think he has a little bit of zen in his personality too. So, like, New York media is different. You're dealing with a hornet's nest here, fans and media. And he has the personality, the temperament to deal with that. And not everybody has the temperament and personality to do that. So it's just not like Milwaukee or another place where they won't eat you alive. I mean, every little mistake gets amplified by 1,000% here. They're all over you. You say something wrong, all over you multiple times, right? Days in a row. So he has that kind of zen aura about him, and he may not be, he's not beating his chest and all that type of stuff. So I think that's probably appreciated by Hal, who's more strategic than George was. George was beating his chest all the time and all this stuff. Different game now, right? So I think his mantra kind of fits in with Cashman, who takes the hits for Hal, right?
Yep.
And Hal is just strategic and quiet behind the scenes.
I know he always has a $300 million payroll, but it's the players that they spend it on, like like some of the stuff that Aaron Boone gets criticized for. You probably should point the finger at Brian Cashman, because look at 2023. That year was, that year was a mess.
Mhm.
We had no left fielder. Look at the outfield. Jake Bowers, Billy McKinney, IKF, Frenchie Cordero. And somehow, some way, guess what? Aaron Boone led us to a above 500 record. Somehow, some way. I mean, that was a AAA ball club that he had to manage,
Mhm.
right? So, I mean, I get it. Like, by any means, he's not perfect. Aaron Boone does make mistakes. We're not sitting here saying that he's a perfect manager, but look at what he's done, kind of. And if he ever did leave the Yankees, he would get hired in probably the next day. And the next day, he would not be on the market for long, unless he wants to go back to ESPN and, do that instead.
Pivoting to Cashman. I mean, the thing that the Yankees have to do is we need contingency plans. It's as simple as that, because certain things are going to happen throughout the course of the year. Giancarlo Stanton's going to miss time. We need a contingency plan for when he goes down, for when he misses a month. We didn't have that in the past. So this is why the team needs to be deeper in certain positions. Like depth, bench pieces are important too. Like look at our bench right now. Trent Grisham, backup catcher who we don't know who it's going to be yet. Cabrera and Peraza. Is that a bench that you trust right now? But you have to be ready to pivot whenever something bad happens, because guess what, we are knock on wood right here, we're a major injury or two away from maybe not making it to the playoffs.
If you
That's
could,
you can say that for every team now.
if you could bolster the bench, Ace, who would you bring in to bolster the bench?
Based on who's left out there or trade.
Yeah, either one. And that question is
can
for
bring-
all three of you guys.
I can bring up the
rest of
stuff
free
on the
agents right
screen.
now. Okay, go ahead.
Yep.
I do think Trent Grisham will probably be, if we end up making a big trade, I think Trent Grisham's going to be the first gone off the bench, because he's making about $5 million. I can see them trying to offload him.
And the team would pay $5 million for him to start for them. So
Yeah, he's a fourth outfielder for us, but he could be a starter for somebody else.
yeah.
Would you guys be cool if Grisham was to get traded, because Boone did say that Pereira is going to be in the mix? Would you guys be cool with him being your fourth outfielder?
Well, they also have Brennan Davis, who they acquired in the trade too, who's got serious power potential. So I think it gives them the flexibility to move Grisham if they can. Yeah, even if it's a draft pick or a little more international money or something like that, right? I wouldn't be opposed to it.
No,
Okay.
Sean.
I do like Pereira.
Sean gave out a good name here. Kike Hernandez would be a good one.
I wouldn't be opposed to him.
Harrison Bader wouldn't be a bad one either. Bring back Harrison Bader.
Bring back Master Bader.
I mean, dude, 31 years old.
Is Paul DeJong looking for a starting job, or would he be a player?
I would assume he's looking to just get on a team. His numbers are not great. I mean, Paul DeJong.
Well, yeah, I mean, he might be a bench piece.
Yeah.
I even mentioned Yohan Moncada, but only as a bench player. He had 40 at bats last year, and if you can get up to 200, that might be a valuable bench piece too. But
What about Randall Grichuk?
Randall Grichuk's another one too. Yeah.
Somebody mentioned in the chat. I know a lot of people like Brendan Rodgers. That was I think, like 2 people said it in the chat.
Well, would he take a bench job? That's my question. I don't know.
What about good old Jose Abreu? Oh man, I can't believe the fall off of that guy for real. When he went to the Astros, I was like, dang, it's a nice get right there, but that didn't work out.
We do got Aaron Hicks sitting out there though. Bring him back, baby.
Oh god, no, he's playing golf. He's still making $8 million playing golf.
One of the members of the Three Musketeers. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, Iglesias. I don't know if he had a good year with the Mets, but I don't think he'll be wanting a bench job. But that's a name out there still that has some, some good, good offensive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised the Mets haven't brought him back. And all things considered, if you consider everything that happened last year, I'm surprised they didn't offer him anything.
Yeah, it wouldn't cost a lot But he's a career 283 hitter. Iglesias, I mean.
Got a good glove too.
That's a way to get back at the Met fans. You want to take Soto from us? We got your song. So
as soon as well, We'll have him come out every instead for Fat Joe, we'll have Jose Iglesias come out there and
keep Fat Joe away from the Bronx. That Fat Joe curse is real.
Oh man. But there is some options out there, you know.
Tommy Pham wouldn't be a bad one. He's had, and especially he's had moments against us, so he's used to playing in Yankee Stadium.
His bat is scary.
Didn't have a good year last year. Yeah.
His bat could be scary though.
Against us, he played pretty well. I remember that in the postseason.
He seems very streaky. Like he's either gonna like really like crush it or just to go into like a super slump.
Lee's asking, could the Yankees be interested in Brett Beatty? So, and I keep hearing that name get brought up because I don't think the Mets would trade him yet.
If they decide to move Vientos to first base, then I think Beatty's probably going to play third.
Yeah.
So if they don't bring back Alonso, if they do bring back Alonso, then Vientos stays at third base. Then Beatty becomes expendable, I think.
Yeah.
But
that's a good point.
What would they want for him is the question. Like Alec Boehm, I mean, I like him too, but the Phillies asked for Mason Miller from the A's.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, God, what are you going to ask the Yankees for?
Oh, yeah,
Spencer
the
Jones?
Yankee tax. You know that, yeah. Spencer Jones,
Yeah.
Jason Dominguez, Chase Hampton, everybody.
God. Yeah.
Well, speaking of prospects, real quick, I wanted to get you guys input on this. If the Yankees were to make a trade, like to get Arenado or anyone else like that's still out there, you know, Brendan Donovan's name is getting floated around constantly. Nico Horner's name, because now the Cubs are loading up on infielders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just signed Nicky Lopez yesterday, and they just signed Nick Madrigal a couple of days ago. So, and they signed John Birdie. So they're loading up on infielders. Like, if the Yankees were to make a trade, what prospects would you see being on the move? Like, I know a lot of people have untouchables. My untouchable would be Jason Dominguez, of course. But Spencer Jones, for instance, would you give up a Spencer Jones for someone like those guys, or?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Not until we sign. If we sign Kyle Tucker next year, then I would. But I'm not like it would have been the same thing with Soto. I wouldn't have traded Spencer Jones until we signed Soto. Same thing with Tucker next year. But and if you had a question, it sounded like you had a question about something.
No, I thought Madrigal, didn't he sign with the Mets on a minor league deal?
Oh wait, you're right.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Like, yeah, but you are right though. They have been the Cubs have been signing infielders. I've been definitely following that. So I just wanted to,
Yeah,
I think if they sign Bregman, then Horner's becomes expendable, but only if they sign Bregman. Because they did lose Paredes to the Astros. So
yeah.
Lombard Jr. to me is another untouchable, and apparently I think they're really high on him as well. But we'll see.
Yeah, Arias is a guy that could potentially get traded in the future. I don't know about right now, but in the future. I mean, the Yankees did sign that 16-year-old, isn't he a shortstop, Cedeno?
Yeah,
Cedeno. He's supposed to be something. I've been 5-tool. Yeah, I've seen some highlights of him and just read some stuff, and he's supposed to be really good.
Yeah,
I would agree with Uncle Rico.
Yeah, I could see Arias though potentially maybe getting traded.
What about Peraza? You think he'll get traded by year's end? Because it just seems like no idea what to do with him.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know what. I mean, it sounds. I mean, at the time, this sounded like Peraza was supposed to be part of the organization. He was going to be one of their future players. That's why they didn't trade him a few years ago to the Marlins with Gleyber Torres when they almost had a deal done with the Marlins. Then the Marlins asked for Peraza, and then the Yankees said no way. But if we knew that all this stuff was going to go down, they should have just traded Peraza during that time while he still had some value. Right now, his value, he doesn't really have. I don't want to say he doesn't have any value. I mean, his value has gone down, and like Kadzilla said, yeah, he's out of options, and he is out of options. So, what is the game plan with him? I don't know. I'm not saying you guys know, but I have no idea what the game plan is with him.
I think it depends on who you trade for. Like if you trade him to let's just say the Yankees trade for Nico Horner. They don't need to move Peraza because they have guys there that can replace Nico Horner. If you go to the Cardinals, Brendan Donovan would replace Nolan Arenado, so he's not a fit there either, right? Go to the Rockies, they need a replacement for Ryan McMahon. So that represents a fit for, I would be willing to move Arias and Oswald Peraza for McMahon because you have a guy that can start right now, and then in development, the guy that can start 2 years later, and then you can move Peraza to second base or something like that, or move Arias to second base. So that to me represents a better value trade, where a team doesn't necessarily have a major league replacement for who they would be trading.
Yeah. I think, too, also, we get rid of Peraza, bring Vivas up.
Vivas, yeah.
Because it just seems like he's on the cusp, of either he's ready or he's not going to be. Make a decision. You brought him up for one game. He did nothing. He literally sat on the bench. But, bring him up already. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you go ahead and get rid of Peraza. Maybe you get rid of Peraza and Trent Grisham, and you go ahead and say, we're going to give Everson Pereira and Vivas a shot. You know what I'm saying? You have a good young bench, a young depth as well, and just go with that route. And, we'll see what happens with third base. But, until if the season started today, DJ LeMahieu would be our starting third baseman.
I'm also looking at next year's free agents for third base, and it's Muntaka Murakami and Eugenio Suarez. That's about it, on the market. So, Yanni Diaz as well, if you want to throw his name. But, yeah, it seems like this is a huge spring training for Peraza, man, because he could be the third baseman after this year as well, But it's he has to stay healthy at the end of the day. That's just one thing with Peraza. He's always been, every time he had a shot, he's been hurt. And, Volpe beat him out in spring 2 years ago. So it's slim pickings, man. Third base, that position has kind of been a dark hole for this infield. We had to throw Jazz in there. He's never played third base in his life. So, what I'm saying? After giving up, Gio Urshela was our last legit third baseman. The whole Donaldson trade was, ever since that trade, it's been a dark hole in this infield. Donaldson, granted, was good defensively at times, but there is times where he sucked at the end of the day. I hated Josh Donaldson. I hated that guy.
You didn't like watching him pimp fly balls to the outfield?
That's another. I'm talking about defensively, but his offense, he couldn't even hit a parked car. I remember, man, he was frustrating me, bro, every time he was going up there. Dang. You remember he had more home runs than base hits at one point or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But see, that's the Yankee thing, though. We got to stop playing players like that, like the DJ LeMahieu's of the world. This is why I'm saying you got to get rid of them, and it's not Boone's fault. Boone is very tempted to use these guys because he likes them. He's seeing DJ LeMahieu sitting on the bench. He's like, damn, that's $15 million sitting on there. We got to play this dude every day. No, man, the best players need to play. It's as simple as that.
My guy, Eddie, shout out to you, bro. Shout out to everyone in the chat, man. Thank you for being here, guys. Smash a like. Helps YouTube push us out. Subscribe to everyone's channels. All the links are down below in the description. I know he's not a good third baseman. I know he can play third.
Yeah. Until no, bro.
I know.
He's going to the Dodgers.
Here we go again. Don't get your hopes up.
You know what we're gonna do next offseason? We're gonna do the Muntaka Murakami watch. Every the Yankees are gonna give him a great presentation. All Tanaka, Masui, everyone's gonna be there. Give him signed autographed jerseys. Cook him a nice dinner, and then breaking news: he goes to the Dodgers on a 17-year deal worth $800 million with all of it deferred.
Yeah. We're going to do all that, and the Dodgers are just going to say, hey, you'd be like, okay, sign. That's it.
Just did the little meme of someone looking through the blinds.
The Squidward meme. Yeah. It's the writing's kind of on the wall of Murakami. They're telling him, to work in your third base for a little while until Freddie Freeman retires, then he'll go back to first. So it's kind of I'm not getting my hopes up for him whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah, I'm already looking at, next offseason too. There's a couple of names, but it's not crazy. First base, third base, you got Vladdy, Muntaka Murakami. That's the big dogs,
Tucker too, yeah.
Yeah, Tucker.
I think Tucker will be a Yankee.
If so, let me ask you guys a question. If Spencer Jones makes big steps this year, Do you think they'll still pursue Tucker?
I think you have to. I still think you have to because Tucker's more proven. If Spencer Jones can get that strikeout percentage down, which he needs to desperately, and he's changed his batting stance a lot, he's younger, but I feel like Tucker's the proven commodity. And Tucker's still what, in his 20s?
He's
27.
28.
Yeah, so I would still, honestly, I would take that over Spencer Jones, to be honest with you.
I would too. I mean, even if Spencer Jones does do well, that just raises his trade value. And if they have a legit shot to get Kyle Tucker, at the end of the day, prospects are still question marks until they're proven otherwise. Kyle Tucker is for sure thing. Like we know how good this guy is. He's a Gold Glove outfielder. He was leading the AL in batting average until he got hurt. He was probably in the MVP race until he got hurt. So I mean, no matter what, if he's willing to come to New York and you have a legit shot, and say we sign him, then I think even if Spencer Jones has a great year, you can trade him now for more value. But it would be important though, because say if Spencer Jones does do well, you might have a cheap outfield with Jason Dominguez, Spencer Jones. I mean, until Aaron Judge, whenever he shifts to DH or first base, he'll be out there. But that's a nice little outfield for a couple of years. That's going to be cheap that you can use that money elsewhere and getting guys like Vladdy or who else is going to be available throughout the years. But that would be nice to have some cheap studs out there in the outfield if they had Spencer Jones and Dominguez. What's another reason why I think they want to have Dominguez in left, because if Spencer Jones and whenever he's ready, they want him playing center field, it seems like. So I think that's another reason why they want him playing left and learning that position, because they've already said that they don't want to move Dominguez around like they want to move Cody Bellinger. So it looks like he's going to be legitly the left fielder, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And we have options, too, because of the Cody Bellinger. You know what I'm saying? I think he'll pick up his own option because, he's wanted to be a Yankee for so long. I think if we end up with Kyle Tucker or Spencer Jones gets fast-tracked up here, you move Bellinger to first base.
Yeah, I think I'm with Ace. I think he'll opt back in, because if he opted out, I don't know of another team that's going to pay him more than what he's getting. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see it. And as far as the Tucker thing goes, the Yankees tried trading for him. They called the Astros. They wanted to trade for him. So I think they're going to make a push for him. I think they're going to try and sign him next offseason. So I can see it happening.
Okay, maybe the Cubs tank out. Maybe they trade him.
And they trade him at the deadline.
I wouldn't do a deadline, because you can just wait a couple more months and don't have to give up anything for him.
But I am more confident that we can get a Tucker deal done as opposed to what we just saw with Soto, because I doubt, who's going to outbid us for Tucker like that.
Mets?
Well, they don't, it depends on what they're going to do with that. I'm not even sure they're really in on them. So
yeah, we won't know.
Dodgers.
Yeah. The Blue Jays, they're in on everybody.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is true.
But man, we're so close, guys. Dang. Appreciate you guys popping on with me. I got to head out here in a little bit, but it's been an awesome show. And shout out to everyone in the chat as well for joining in and, being the fifth co-host. But, guys, we're close. 1 week. Before we go, Nick, give me one player in spring, not named Spencer Jones, not named Jason Dominguez, not named, give me one player that you're going to be looking out for and hope they do well this spring.
I'm stealing yours, Vivas.
Oh, okay.
I gave you credit. I stole yours. So yeah.
We're going Ben Shields. Power lefty arm.
Ooh, okay.
Shields. I want to. Hopefully, he gets invited, but Chase Hampton. I want to see.
I would assume.
Yeah.
He better be invited.
I would imagine he'd be invited, but I'm saying Chase Hampton. I would have said Peraza, but just because since if the Yankees are going in house for third base, I want to see how Peraza does, but I'm gonna go Chase Hampton, no, for sure.
All right, Ace, since you stole mine, you know who I'm gonna go with? I'm gonna go with DJ LeMahieu, because he's gonna spin those turntables and flip it in the right direction. Ippy.
Gosh. Your channel would value more from DJ being good than the Yankees would. Come on, man. Like,
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
And then we're all gonna feel like this.
I just don't, I just don't want to see him hit 4 ground balls a game. Like if you're gonna do that, at least be productive. If there's a runner on second, you better hit that motherfucker right to the right side. At least DJ, come on, man.
As soon as he walks up, I'm in the middle of turning the tables. He already flies out. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, never mind.
Or a weekly hit to the third baseman and the runner stays
man.
put. It's like, oh man,
Oh yeah, Eli saying George Lombard. That'd be
that's a good one.
I hope we see a lot more of him too.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. You're always welcome on the channel.
Thank you.
Everyone in the chat, their links are down below in the description. So please subscribe to my people here. And hey, let's go, guys. We're almost there.
Shout out
But
to
it's
the
always,
chat.
yeah, the chat, the goats. Thank you guys. It's always love. Peace, shit, and grease
Peace out.
on Max Covers TV. We're out of here.
Next time.
Peace.
Next
And
time.
always, go Yankees.
See y'all
baby.
later. Have a good day. Let's go.